friends, subscribe to our blog on Sponsor or Boost, thereby you will significantly help us in our work. All videos there are released in early access, before publication on YouTube. There are also videos that will never appear on this channel, due to the fact that they will simply be deleted by this video hosting. With this subscription, you will support our work and we will be able to continue making videos. The links are in the description. Russia has a new lethal air defense bundle A-50U plus S-400. Thanks to the new AWACS aircraft, October has become the most productive month for Triumphs. But let's talk about this right after we list the most interesting events that took place in our country during the week. So, Rostec has shipped to the customer the first set of fully Russian avionics for the cabin of the import-substituted Mississippi 21 airliner. A remote control has been created that allows you to control hydraulic, fuel, inertial, anti-detection systems, fire protection systems, air conditioning, speed measurement, as well as other aircraft actuators. In addition, lighting equipment has also become completely domestic. In Innopolis, an unmanned Yandex car drove for the first time without a person in the cabin. Yandex was the first in Europe to test driverless transport without drivers. There is an experimental legal regime in Innopolis. The result of the introduction of such a regime will be the creation of a national platform for the management of unmanned vehicles, as well as the formation of new markets in this area and the accumulation of scientific potential. Nakhodka Mineral Fertilizers Plant has started active construction of a marine terminal. Methanol will flow from the tank through a pipeline directly to the vessel, which excludes its entry into the water area. The planned cargo turnover of the terminal is 1.8 million tons of methanol per year. The port infrastructure will be able to receive up to 105 vessels annually. Russian specialists have developed the first domestic FPV glasses that provide video playback from the cameras of unmanned aerial vehicles in first-person mode. When creating the FPV glasses, the peculiarities of operation during military combat operations were taken into account. All components are selected taking into account the operation in a wide temperature range. The first industrial line of the sulfur program, designed to reduce sulfur dioxide emissions, was launched at the Nadezhdinsky metallurgical plant in Norilsk. This will allow the volume of sulfur dioxide emissions to be reduced by 20%, and by launching the second line at the plant next year by more than 45%. The scale of investments in the main technological complex alone is more than 180 billion rubles. Of these, more than 120 billion already invested. In fact, Technonickel Company has opened a plant for the production and processing of stone wool substrates for greenhouses in the Rostov region. The design capacity of the plant is 160,000 cubic meters of finished products per year. This will meet the needs of 1,600 hectares of greenhouses in Russia. Stone wool substrates are used as a substitute for soil for growing plants in greenhouses. The Russian Aerospace Forces launched the Soyuz 2.1B carrier rocket from the Przewalski Cosmodrome in the interests of the Russian Ministry of Defense. Soyuz 2.1B is used for launching military and civilian spacecraft, including commercial satellites. In particular, with the help of this rocket, satellites of the GLONASS navigation system are launched into space. The holding company, Roselectronica, has started deliveries of a new ground-based complex, Orion-C, for communication with the International Space Station and spacecraft. The first system was installed at the Reshetnev Enterprise in the Krasnoyarsk territory. Unlike the existing equipment, the new complex provides video communication with spacecraft in the receiving and transmitting mode at the same time. A complex for growing and processing salad products has been launched in Kuban. Investments in the project amounted to more than 2.5 billion rubles. The capacity of the complex, salads from the sea, will be up to 5,000 tons of products per year. Green crops such as arugula, spinach, iceberg lettuce, romano, freese and radicho will be grown there. Selegdar has begun construction of a gold recovery factory in the main facilities of the production complex, Kavoynaya deposits, in Yakutia. Within the framework of the Coniferous project, it is planned to build a gold extraction plant with a capacity of 3 million tons of ore per year. The factory is scheduled to be put into operation in 2024. Well, now let's get back to our new lethal air defense bundle. October 2023 will go down in the history of air defense systems as one of the most productive months since the Vietnam War. And it's all the fault of this handsome S-400 complex. And, perhaps, the most discussed military topic of recent days in foreign military magazines, if you do not take into account the Gaza Strip, is how the Russian S-400 anti-aircraft missile system has been revealed in a new way with the beginning of the active use of the domestic A-50 long-range radar detection and control aircraft with the letter U. More recently, our aviation received another such machine with new equipment and additional improvements based on the results of recent events. And almost immediately, in the camp of our opponents, such a very plentiful airfall was formed, which many distrustful people took almost for propaganda bravado. Especially the MiG-29 fighters, converted as carriers of the American Jadam bombs and AGM-88 HARM anti-radar missiles, got it. But even despite the fog of war, it gradually turns out that such problems do exist in the enemy air force. Here is an A-50U aircraft. 2 of them have been received in recent months. And this instantly raised the work of air defense systems and interceptors to a new level. The intelligence services of those countries that did not spare money and bought not the most, frankly speaking, cheap Russian complexes were the first to report this with great joy. In particular, India, which not so long ago received the 3rd division of the S-400 even before the agreed deadlines, and also completed the modernization of its A-50 and E, of which it has 3 units on its balance sheet. For Indians, the news that this bunch brings down planes in bundles sounds like music. One of their main geopolitical rivals in the region is China. And in China, combat aircraft have been riveting lately, mostly replicas of our Su-30, JAY-16, at a simply frightening pace for the current times, and the Indians, due to bureaucratic delays and corruption, do not have a reliable multi-purpose aircraft of their own in production. The Indians expect that with the help of their A-50 bundles with the S-400 will be able to have an advantage over China. But that's just China has the S-400 and its own AWACS aircraft. The Indian light Tejas is still, to put it mildly, looking for its place in the ranks, and the production of the Russian Su-30 Mki, assembled at the factories of Hindustan Aeronautics from our kits, was only recently resumed at the previous production facilities, already in the Su-30 SME variant. For some time, the Indian Air Force expected to receive more modern fighters under a new tender, but like everything in this country, this competition turned into a kind of Bollywood movie and led only to the scandalous acquisition of French Rafales, at a price more expensive than a 5th-generation aircraft. And now they are counting mainly on the 5 S-400 divisions acquired by the country, even despite the rather harsh warnings of the Americans. By the way, here are rare shots of Indian S-400 tests in the disputed lands of Jammu and Kashmir. And that's what the Indians themselves write about it, are rather one of the most authoritative aviation experts in the country. Retired Air Force Colonel, veteran of the Kargil War from the Striking Arrows Squadron Vijayadhar Thakur, who himself once flew Jaguars and MiG-29s, will quote, 2 upgraded long-range radar reconnaissance and control aircraft were adopted by the Russian Aerospace Forces in September and October of this year. This instantly raised the quality level of both the work of aviation fighters and air defense. In aviation, these are old, but very fast and reliable MiG-31BM interceptors with RVVBD missiles. In air defense, the Russian S-400 Triumph complex, which, according to the totality of qualities, is one of the most advanced and effective of the existing ones. Adopted by the upgraded A-50U, as well as its timely C-400 prompts through the AWACS and U system, this is not something supernova, but very reliable in itself. In addition, it is obvious that Russia has drones capable of destroying aircraft at intermediate airfields. It is also impossible to exclude that publicly undeclared innovations may take place in the upgraded A-50U and S-400. End of stat. The Indians are going to put their S-400s in the hottest spots of their border areas. Most of them fall on the border with Pakistan. The Indian expert also adds that from the innovations of the S-400, it is quite possible that its longest-range 40N6E missile now has the ability to directly receive target designation from an AWACS aircraft. And thus, initially, the radar of the complex itself will not be involved, which is now being detected by Western electronic reconnaissance means and gives a signal to enemy aircraft to leave the Triumph's reach. Until the launch, the complex operates in radio silence mode. In his blog, Thakur notes that if he is right, then India immediately needs to make a request for a similar modification of its A-50s.